Even though most people recognize Vin Diesel as Dom Toretto from the Fast and Furious series, there's another role of his that fans have been missing for a long time, his iconic sci-fi anti-hero, Riddick. It's been years since we last saw him on screen in that role, but fans haven't stopped asking for more, and the good news? Diesel seems to be listening. He's been teasing a new chapter in the Riddick saga for a while now, and the next movie, titled Riddick Furya, is officially in development. The project actually began production last year, and since then, we've been getting little glimpses behind the scenes. These hints have only fueled the excitement. Most recently, Diesel dropped a very cryptic Instagram post, just a photo of himself fully suited up as Riddick, with a single word in the caption, "Incoming." That was enough to send fans into a frenzy in the comments. There's clearly a lot of hype building around this movie, and it looks like something big, maybe a teaser or even a full announcement, is just around the corner. So what exactly can we expect from Riddick Furya? Well, plot details are still mostly under wraps, but writer-director David Twohy has given us a few clues. He hinted that this new installment is really about listening to what longtime fans have been asking for. In his words, "Our legion of fans has demanded it for years, and now we're finally ready to honor their call to action with Riddick Furya." He also said the movie will take us back to Riddick's home world, Furya, and explore his origins, something fans have been curious about since the very beginning. If we go back to the early 2000s, Diesel actually solidified his action hero image with Pitch Black, the film that introduced the character of Riddick to the world. The movie was a surprise hit and quickly gained cult status. It was followed by 2004's The Chronicles of Riddick, which had a much bigger budget and expanded the universe dramatically, although it didn't quite perform as expected at the box office. Then, in 2013, we got Riddick, the third film, which scaled things back and returned to a grittier survival tone. That one performed better financially, especially considering it had a much smaller budget. At the end of the third movie, Riddick had tried to make it back to his home planet, but things didn't go as planned, so it only makes sense that Riddick Furya will pick up where that left off, finally bringing him home. What's interesting is that this place, his birthplace, is not only mysterious to the audience but also to Riddick himself. He barely remembers it, and there's a chance it's been ravaged by the Necromongers, the antagonists from earlier in the series. So he's walking into the unknown, not just literally, but emotionally too. According to early teases, once he arrives, Riddick will discover that there are still Furyans left who are fighting for survival. But the twist? Some of them are apparently more like Riddick than even he could have imagined. That opens the door to some deeper character development and perhaps a look at what being an Alpha Furyan really means. Concept art released earlier even hinted at Riddick going through some sort of evolution, possibly tapping further into his powers and identity. This could turn into more than just a simple homecoming, it might be a reckoning. Diesel hasn't been shy about keeping the excitement alive either. Not long ago, he posted another behind-the-scenes photo showing himself in full costume, sitting behind the wheel of a rugged-looking dune buggy. A camera rig was mounted inside the vehicle, clearly meant for an action sequence. The dusty, sun-blasted environment around him looked like the perfect backdrop for Furya, desolate, wild, and harsh. It's not just about spectacle, though. Diesel clearly wants to give fans something that feels earned. After all, it's been over a decade since the last movie. But here's the thing. Riddick as a franchise has always had kind of a complicated relationship with both critics and the box office. While the original Pitch Black did well for its small budget and developed a loyal following, the big-budget sequel, The Chronicles of Riddick, didn't really hit the mark financially. It cost around $110 million to make, but only earned about $115 million globally. Not quite the return you'd want. Then there was a long 9-year gap before the third film, Riddick, came out. That one was made on a tighter budget of $38 million and went on to gross $98 million, which made it a more modest success. When you lay out the numbers, it's clear that theatrical releases have been a bit hit or miss for this series. Critical reception hasn't been all that glowing either. For example, Pitch Black holds a 60% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and a more generous 77% audience score. Chronicles of Riddick didn't fare as well. It sits at just 29% from critics, though the audience score is 65%. The third movie, Riddick, managed to climb back a bit with a 58% critics rating and a 56% from audiences. So it's not surprising that a fourth film has taken this long to get made. But it also makes Riddick Furya a potential turning point. Since it's taking Riddick to a brand new setting with a whole new conflict and perhaps some fresh characters, this movie might work as a sort of soft reboot. That's especially true if they don't rely too heavily on the viewer needing to remember every detail from the previous movies. If done right, it could draw in new fans while still delivering what longtime Riddick followers are craving. There's also the question of whether this film can breathe new life into Vin Diesel's post-Fast and Furious career. Outside of playing Dom Toretto, Diesel hasn't had a lot of luck leading other successful franchises. Bloodshot didn't really land with audiences, and The Last Witch Hunter struggled to make an impact too. So Riddick Furya could be his chance to prove that he still has drawing power in a franchise outside of racing cars and drinking Corona. It's worth noting that one of the coolest things about Riddick as a character is his unique set of powers. Most people remember his night vision, it's one of his signature traits, but being an Alpha Furian apparently comes with a whole suite of abilities we've only just started to understand. If Furya is going to dive deeper into his past, then we could finally get a fuller picture of what makes Riddick so powerful and different. That could be a major selling point for the film, especially if it leans into the mythology behind his species. For now, there's still a lot we don't know, like who else is in the cast. The third movie featured some well-known names like Bautista, Karl Urban, and Katee Sackhoff, so it'll be interesting to see whether any of them return or if we'll get an entirely new lineup. Either way, this next chapter looks like it's setting the stage for something more personal, emotional, and intense than we've seen from the franchise so far. And considering that Diesel keeps dropping hints and behind-the-scenes photos, it's safe to say he's committed to getting this right. Fans have been waiting a long time for Riddick's story to continue, and Furya might just be the film that finally delivers what they've been hoping for. So whether you're a longtime fan who's been following Riddick since Pitch Black, or someone who's just now curious about this dark, dystopian universe, Riddick Furya could be worth keeping an eye on. Because after all this time, we're not just getting more Riddick, we're getting to the heart of who he really is. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Your suggestions for future videos are always welcome in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay in the loop. And if you want, you can share your thoughts about this video in the comments.